What's good, Wagering World? It's your boy Five Star in Vegas, as always, broadcasting live from beautiful Summerlin, Nevada, with my guy, my co-host, the only Sacramento Kings fan I know. What's good, Spread? How you feeling today? Not too good after the Halliburton trade, right?
Well, the Kings made the news. I don't know if we're too happy about it, but I was pretty upset about it yesterday. But I'm ready to drink the Kool-Aid and just hopefully everything I said yesterday was wrong and it ends up working out.
Well, I think when we spoke on text, I was telling you I like Sabonis a lot, especially if they got him for 2 years. Hey, if he adapts and wants to really play with them, he's a real factor, man. To me, he's more of a factor at this stage in his career. I understand a lot of Kings fans are looking forward to the future with Halliburton, and they see a lot of great expectations for him. So but I think at this present time, Sabonis is a much more effective NBA player. But enough about basketball. You guys didn't tune in to hear anything about that. You know what week it is. Spread is the week that we work all week in the betting community for on NFL and watch all the film and examine all these teams to get to the culmination. It's the Super Bowl right down the street from both of us in Los Angeles, and I'm really excited about it, man. You excited about Super Bowl week, Spread?
Man, yeah, this is fantastic. It's been one of the toughest games. Usually, when the games end on Championship Sunday, I already know who I want. I'm ready to bet it. This one, there's some great arguments on both sides. I finally landed where I want to be, but it took a little while to get here, and that just makes it even more exciting with the touch of uncertainty and not just really knowing exactly where I was going to bet.
This is definitely one of the more interesting matchups that we've had in recent years in the Super Bowl. I'm very, very excited to break down this game a little bit later as we deal with the underdog Bengals facing the mighty Los Angeles Rams. So, as we always do, let's kick off the show with past, present, and future. Spread. What everybody talking about in the past about the cover that everyone was talking about.
I mean, hey, the time to pat ourselves on the back. We did it again. We gave out the two-team parlay, the Ball and Parlay last week. I went over on a boxing match, right? Couldn't do any NBA, couldn't do any tennis because the lines would not have been out. So I chose a Saturday night event, and it was a fine event. Might have been a little overpriced, but that's for real. That's for real boxing fans to discuss over on boxing Twitter. But I like Leo Santa Cruz to go over, right? My only worry, Carbajal had a lot of pop. I was worried he might catch him early. That was not the case. As Leo Santa Cruz, it's nice when it goes to the script, right? Just like I expected, volume punching, dominated most of the rounds. It was a pretty easy decision. No claims of robbery at all, and really just set himself up for another fight. So it's really nice to have that fight go over. And then you gave us the college basketball winner, Wright State. We had the points, but it was just going nice and easy. Break them down on Wright State real quick, and we will move on to the present.
Hey, thanks for giving out another great pick, Spread. Guys, this is 4 straight weeks we've hit you guys with the Ball and Parlay where you were able to hit the straights on both, and you were able to parlay them and win you some money, man. So hopefully you've been following us, you've been following the show, and your bankroll is really increasing, man. The boxing match was went to the end, man. It was made through the whole match, so the 9 wasn't anything. My guy gave it to you guys, and he came through. And Wright State, man, was one of the easiest games that I bet all season, man. -4, and they win. They were up by 17 at the half spread, and uh, I thought like, well, still let me just pay attention to it, man. They won by another 14 in the second half, so they ended up winning by 31. So we covered a -4 by easy 27 points, and you like them like that if you don't like anything, right, Spread?
Oh man, especially with how many games we sweat out, doing the NBA, doing the tennis, it's not for the faint of heart. You really
Right.
got to embrace it because there are going to be highs and lows. So when you can get a night where the win is sweat free, like both those were, right? When I saw that Carbajal wasn't going to pop Santa Cruz, feeling pretty good, right? And that's around the
Right.
third round. This one, like you said, we go into the halftime, 17 points up. We're 13 points ahead of the spread. That's the kind of night I'm trying to have. So not only did we win, we did it in grand fashion.
Great fashion, and we hope you guys were able to follow that, and that you guys have been riding with us on this Ball and Parlay, and hopefully we can get you paid again for the fifth, the lucky five, the lucky fifth straight time tonight. Um, What's the game that everybody's talking about in the present spread?
It's that week. It's dominating the coverage. You can't jump in the car and turn on the radio without hearing about it. The NBA's got their trade deadline completely overshadowed by the Super Bowl. Hey, a team that we weren't expecting at all, the Cincinnati Bengals, they're catching 4.5 points. I thought they were going to take some money. That's not been the case. I've heard a bunch of great arguments for the Rams all week, so it makes me see why the money's coming in pretty even. Odds makers also have to feel good, right? When their line doesn't go one way or the other, they got to think, we put up a pretty good line on this one,
Right.
Because they're getting the money pretty easy. Same with the total, right? 48.5. I thought it was going to get bet up, fast track in Los Angeles. That's not the case. The under money is still coming in. That's what happens on the big stage. A lot of times, the game isn't as high scoring as you think. Nerves take over. People don't want to make the mistake. So they did a great job setting the line this year. Not a lot of movement. The Rams and the Bengals is on the tip of everybody's tongue this week.
Yeah, it's been a pretty exciting week. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to be on the coverage like I usually am. Two small kids now, working every day because if I'm not doing my own thing with my own, what I've done for now over 10 years, and that's, daily doing my reading, my film study for my personal wages that I'm going to make that day. I also have to take care of my clients and also, having two small children. It's kind of hard, man, but I haven't watched as much as I usually do. But I know with it being a Los Angeles game and with it being a LA team, you got a Hollywood star in the making. Really, he's already won in Joe Burrow. I mean, who doesn't know Joe Burrow? He's becoming a household name. So, yeah, man, I'm really excited about this week, man. I'm very excited. From what you've been hearing, what have the procrastinators all been saying about everything?
Hey, it's been fun, right? Even the guys that just pick straight up, right? Just pick the winners, your ESPN, your Fox Sport Radio guys that will be on the radio when I'm out running my errands, headed to the grocery store. Hey, they're on both sides. I mean, this is not, yeah. So not only there's a lot of people who don't want to discount what Joe Burrow's doing. A lot of times, right, when you listen, they all pick the favorite, right? I mean, it's the joke on Sunday Night Football, right? Team's a 7-point favorite, and they have 7 experts, and they all pick the favorite to win, right? It's not the case this time. So, this is why, the NFL is always going to be good. I mean, look, no one expected this matchup, and I think it's more fun than we could have expected.
Well, usually the way that I approach the game for many years has always been to watch the media coverage and kind of see what they're kind of pushing on, Joe Public, which side they're more pushing. And actually, like you said, the times that I have heard any coverage of this game, it's been pretty much, like you said, it's been pretty much even, man. I did hear a little smack talk from Jalen Ramsey and from Aaron Donald. They seemed pretty confident with the Rams. I saw that a little bit earlier. And when I saw Joe Burrow's interview, he's pretty much even keel like he always is. But he was also saying that he doesn't want the world looking at the Bengals if they're underdogs, because their approach isn't that. And as we've said before on the show, and I've told you before that the reason I wrote the Bengals most of the playoffs was the gift that they have with the arrogance of youth. If you believe in yourself as a young man, hey, the world is your oyster. So I'll be very, very excited to get into the game a little more. But as I was saying, I didn't watch as much press this year. I did a lot of film study, and I did a lot of reading, a lot of digging, and I used my past experience with the books and the way that they use and lay lines to kind of work this thing out and break it down a little bit. And I share that information with you guys at the end of the show in the Ball and Parlay segment. Okay, let's get to the future.
All right. Yeah.
What everybody talking about for the future, baby.
Yeah, giving away a little bit of some of the plays we're going to get because, like you said, it's Super Bowl week. We got to go with the Super Bowl. So I'm going to go ahead and give out a play. And unfortunately, the way the graphic is, it's going to spoil yours. Sorry about that. We'll have to work on it. But I'll start with mine. I like Jamar Chase to score a touchdown anytime during the game. We know Noops, who's going to come on later, very good with the first touchdown market. A lot of variance, though, and that's really fun when you have multiple games during the season. For this one, I'm going to play it safe, but I love this matchup here. I can score so many ways. I can get in on a trick running play in the red zone. He can turn a short pass into a big game that scores, And of course, he has the ability, to just break a big play down the field. So we know how much Burrow likes Chase. I think the connection is, one of the main reasons, the Bengals are here when no one even predicted them to make the playoffs. And it's how real tight this connection is. These guys know what they want to do. And we know that when Burrow gets in trouble, that's the first place he's going to look. So I like Jamar Chase for an anytime touchdown. What was it, your half that you were going to add to our future?
I got to go with a great price, even money on the Bengals' first offensive play to be a run. I'll break it down a little bit later about how I think that the Bengals will attack the vaunted pass rush of the Rams, and that's running straight at it. And Joe Mixon actually led the league at first down carries. So I actually think that Zach Taylor will start out the game, attempting to establish the line of scrimmage and get his big guys moving forward instead of backpedaling. So I definitely like Joe Mixon to get the first carry of the game. I don't know what that prop carries, but I'll ask Snoop when he gets on here. But for sure, I've already laid this bet at even money. First offensive play of the game, Bengals with a rush. That's what we're going to go with.
All right.
And now, man, let's get to the final kick the damn extra point for the 2021-2022 season. So this we're gonna make this one an award and give this to the worst decision maker of the season out these coaches, man. If you're not familiar with kick the damn extra point, it's your first time getting on the show. During this segment, Spread and I like to revisit the decisions, that were made by head coaches that affected not only the spread but the outcome of the game. And it was some coaches that made some terrible decisions this year. I finally star Andy Reid for his decision to not take 3 points before the half in the AFC Championship game against the Bengals. The 3 points ended up coming back later on to cost them as regulation. The game was tied up. Our second candidate is Mike McCarthy for his decision to run a draw from midfield down 6 points to San Francisco with no timeouts and 14 seconds left on the clock. Our third finalist is Brandon Staley for his decision to go for it on 4th and 1 from his own 18, down 17-14 in the third quarter, and then win and get in the playoffs game against the Raiders in week 18 of the season. And he also had another little questionable decision in overtime, too, that definitely adds to the argument for making him the top dog. And last, we got Sean McDermott for his decision to kick the ball to the end zone against KC in the divisional playoffs, leaving Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs offense 13 seconds and 2 timeouts to get into field goal range. Spread, from these most worthy finalists, who do you give the award for the worst decision by a head coach this season?
As a Raiders fan, it was easy for me to fall on this one because it helped my team secure that playoff spot, the first one in a while. And how happy were we as the Raiders fans to watch Brandon Staley line up and go for it in the third quarter of a 3-point game. 5-star. The score wasn't 37-34, right? 37-34. Okay, that's fine, right? Nobody's stopping anybody. Go ahead, go for it. This was not the case in this game. This was a normal football game, right? 31 points through 3 quarters. That's what we've seen for the last 20 years. This was not an offensive explosion. And the fact that you essentially gave 3 points, we weren't playing outside in Buffalo. This wasn't Lambeau Field, right? Nice air-conditioned stadium in Las Vegas to go ahead and kick that field goal through. I got to give it to Brandon Staley. Hey, for years, we've called for these coaches to be more aggressive. But in this case, he was just a bit too aggressive.
Yeah. Oh, Brandon Staley, man. You know what I think about that kid. He went for a 4th down more than any coach this season. It works for him in the first contest against Kansas City. Backfired against him in the second matchup against Kansas City. New kid, young kid, playing Madden out there, man. Hopefully over the offseason, he'll learn to kick the damn extra point. And but I have to give my award to it would be very easy to say any of these guys. I mean, Mike McCarthy could be a Lifetime Achievement Award. He's been making mistakes and bumbling and fumbling with time and not really having a full grasp of what's going on. I mean, who goes to an interview and tells the media that he BS'd his way the whole way through the interview with the owner? Like, that's not smart in itself. Like, that's going to be the very clip that Stephen Jones is going to use to fire you with next year. You know what I mean? So, like, we already know he's just, I don't know, that guy's just a different type of character. Okay, he's a lifetime achievement winner. We're going to let Sean McDermott make it. Sean McDermott had a bad moment. He had a momentary lapse, but overall, he's a great coach, man. So I'm going to let Sean McDermott make it. He forgot he was dealing with a real 2021, 2022 offense with Patrick Mahomes, and that, hey, even though you had this vaunted defense, the number one defense in the league, number one against the pass, when his mind is made up with the weapons he has, he can get down the field in 13 seconds. So I'm sure that McDermott learned a lesson that he'll utilize in the coming years as his success continues to grow. And I think that his team, along with Josh Allen and those guys, are going to dominate the AFC East in the coming years, and they'll definitely get another shot at it. I wouldn't be surprised if they see a Super Bowl within the next 2-3 years. I got to give it, man, to the old walrus, Andy Reid. Andy Reid, he won a Super Bowl in Kansas City, and a lot of people forgot about the stuff he used to do in Philadelphia. He's been doing this a while. All of those times at the Eagles, he actually held back, I believe, Donovan McNabb from getting a Super Bowl with his play calling, man. He used to throw the ball 50 times a game, never establish a run, never give his quarterback a chance. Joe Burrow is getting all this fame for surviving 9 sacks, but he tied Donovan McNabb. Donovan McNabb is the last quarterback that won a playoff game, getting sacked 9 times. But it's funny, the media never talks about it.
That's good knowledge.
Right. But with Joe Burrow, they're lifting him up on the pedestal and carrying him around town. And Donovan, they feel like that's what he was supposed to do, typical work by the media. But anyway, man, Andy Reid knows better. He's been coaching in this league as long as I've probably been alive, Before the halftime, man, you're getting cute down by the goal line. You've been showing signs all, year of when you get inside the red zone, and especially within a goal-to-go situation, that you want to pull out all these cute plays. The worst thing that ever happened for him was making that little play where they did the spin around in the Super Bowl against the 49ers, because ever since then, he's been just going out in his bag of tricks. And the play that he ran with Cheetah, they felt like they were going to isolate Eli Apple, I guess, and the Cheetah could beat him one-on-one, but Eli Apple stood up and made a great play. And end of the day, he just broke all the rules that he knows as a veteran coach. Man, in that situation, they weren't inside the one in a sneak situation or a play action where you can, fake it to the running back and throw it out in the flats or anything, and then they'll bite because of the short distance of the 4th down. They were like 2 yards away, man. You know what I mean? Like, it was straight disrespectful, and instead of him following those rules, he decided to, get cute, run the play that he ran, probably been wanting to try around the goal line. They got stuffed. And now the Cincinnati Bengals are in the Super Bowl because that same 3 points that would have been a victory for them at the end of regulation ended up being 3 points that they never got back. And it gave the Bengals all the momentum they needed to get going. And the defense held them to 3 points the whole second half after that, because he gave them confidence with that bonehead decision to not take the 3 points. So Andy Reid, Brandy Staley, we got an OG and we got a youngster. Y'all need to learn, man. Kick the damn extra point. All right, man. You know what time it is. Now it's time for the Vegas homies, man. You know what it is, man.
You're not going to say anything weird to me about the Sixers, are you?
No. I was going to say you're the only person that's a bigger badass than Joey B. What's up to my guy, man? Alex Noops Christansen. What's up, buddy?
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, gentlemen. We're on the precipice of the most fun football game of the year. I know the best football weekend of the year is generally either the conference championships or the divisional round, but the Super Bowl is the best We talked a little bit last week about kind of the deli menu, and I thought we'd dive back into that menu today. Hit a bunch more props that have opened since we talked last. What do you guys think?
Oh yeah, man! I can't wait to talk about these Super Bowl props. It's their time of the season. All of our viewers are tuning in. They want to get some props from me. Let's see what you got, Noops.
We'll start with first touchdown scorer and just anytime touchdown scorer. It's a fun market. This is pretty much open just about anywhere. Looking through the first touchdown scores, Cooper Kupp leads the market here right around 5-1. You've got the running backs, Joe Mixon, Cam Akers in there, Jamar Chase right around 8-1, Beckham at 9-1. As I start to look down the board, in general, I love the tight ends. Higbee at 14-1, Uzomah at 16-1. The quarterbacks here, Burrow at 30-1, Stafford at 40-1, just out of respect to the number, might play those for kind of some smaller numbers. I'll start with you, Andre. Did you have any thoughts on who might score the first touchdown here? How do you see this game starting? I know you like to think about kind of the plays and stuff.
I'm big on Joe Mixon this game. I think this is a Joe Mixon game, as I'll break down later on, and I'm sure you'll hear Noops from in the background when you listen to the show. Man, Joe Mixon is going to be big this game. The last time that the Bengals played a pass rush similar to the Rams, it was in their own division. As you know, the Steelers led the league by far in pass and sacks. And every time they played them, they gave them a heavy dosage of Joe Mixon. Actually, look for the under also on pass attempts from Burrow, because Burrow against the Steelers, the max times he threw was 24 times. And he was 20 out of 24 for 3 touchdowns because they rolled Mixon. The best way to stop a pass rush is to run right at it. So I really like Joe Mixon for the first touchdown. I think this is a Joe Mixon game.
Yeah, Mixon is always a great pick. He not only leads the Bengals in terms of rushing inside the 10, inside the 20, he's top 4 in the team. He's 4th after all those wide receivers. Joe Mixon is 4th in targets inside the 20. You get a nice number him on 7.5-1 spread. When you think about this game, are there any players you see scoring the first touchdown? Any value for you in that market?
Yeah, I did write about this week and, had some experience because we were pretty successful doing it when I was working on the Sports Keg with the live show, but also, your voice from the conversations we've had and listening to you on the Brown Bag Bets was just chiming in my head. And I went ahead and went with 3. And I felt like, you kind of were there ghostwriting the article for me as I took the 2 tight ends. I got Higbee on one side and I got Uzomah on the other. And we talked about the red zone targets, right? And where Mixon is. Higbee's pretty good on the other side too. He's at 15% for the Rams. And what he is actually is, this isn't just a touchdown, but just targets in the red zone. He has the highest completion percentage at 70%. Stafford's not going to be afraid to go there. Then I wanted to sprinkle in a quarterback, right? You talked, they get the ball in the hands every time. And then you look at the numbers you talked. Is it really the way that it's saying, like, and I could be doing the math wrong here, right? But Stafford's only got a 25% chance more? No way. Burrow's way more likely to run that one in. We're going to hear all week how bad this offensive line is. What's that going to do? Giving him an opportunity to scramble. Not to mention he's quicker, more athletic, and more the one to get it done. So I took the 2 tight ends, and then I sprinkled the Joe Burrow as well.
I love those plays. Looking at anytime touchdown score, Andre, you talked about Mixon. He's right around even money. I think that's a great bet. The other name that stuck out to me, he's only 12-1 to score the first touchdown. But if you look around, T. Higgins is plus 180 to score a touchdown here. I think that's going to be a really nice spot given where he sits in kind of the Rams. Rams level of defensive priority, the Bengals wide receivers. He's number 2 there. Ramsey's going to be on Chase. And there's going to be Higgins running around doing his thing. So, Andre, I know you like that bet. What do you think about that spread? Higgins to score a touchdown. Does anybody else stick out to you maybe just to score?
Yeah, I gave out Chase a little bit earlier. My idea there is with Chase, right? He has 3 different ways to do it. He can be used in the sweep, in the run game. He can take a short pass to the house, or he can just beat Ramsey on one play deep. Or, hey, we'll see if he actually gets to shadow. I know he's been lobbying it. We will see if McVay and the catch allow that. But, hey, I like your Higgins play. Well, I mean, that guy was making so many catches in good coverage, right? I mean, I could just see it'd be hard for really the cornerback to get chewed out on some of those catches that Higgins was making because there was good coverage. Burrow was getting it right in the place where it needed to be, and Higgins was getting it done. So, I kind of looked.
They got 3 number ones, guys. They have 3 number ones. They're the only team left. That might be the only team in the league. They have 3 number ones, and all of their receivers have actually had to be number ones for portions of the season in their careers out of Boyd, Higgins, and now Chase. But hey, when Higgins gets the ball, guess who's matched up on 5'9" Darius Williams or 5'11" Nick Scott? He's gonna eat him alive if he gets time. It's all about Burrow getting time. But if they get time, T. Higgins is going to go off, guys. Quick question before we move on. I know you on it a little bit more than I have as far as in keeping up with the injury reports. How are they? Or how is Uzomah? Are they saying he's moving okay in practice? Is he going to start? What?
I haven't heard anything that he isn't going to start. I mean, some people say it looks good. It's hard to figure out kind of who to trust at this point, but he's moving around. And again, because they have that 2 weeks, I think he'll be okay. I think he'll be on the field. That's a good call out. I'm going to wait till Sunday to make sure Uzomah's playing to put that bet in.
Well, no, I think he's going to play. He ran out on the first practice that's watched by the media and threw the knee brace off like he was trying out for WWE.
He took it off. He threw it off
for the practice.
He did. I was trying to
put it back on. He put it back on for the practice, right? But I mean, he made a big deal that he was out there.
He's a gamer. He's a gamer. He's tough. He's tough, bro. He's gamer.
As someone who likes the pomp and the circumstance, I was bought in right there. Just like Anthony Edwards, right? Wasn't sure. I heard one great interview with him, and now I'm sold.
Yeah, he's the man.
It's a superstitious thing, but when athletes do stuff like that, I get a little bit worried. I mean, last time that happened, Rudy Gobert licked everyone's microphones and missed the NBA for about 6 months. So I hope he's okay. I'm not saying it's going to start all that stuff, but yes, it's a great point, Andre. Let's make sure everybody's healthy here. Now let's dive into a little more kind of some nuanced stuff here. I was looking at this line, team to record the most first downs in the game. Now, this seems to be pretty correlated to the favorite. The Rams are favored. They should win. They'll probably have the most first downs, but I'm not sure that logic really holds up. As I look at it, the Rams generally, have a lot longer touchdowns. They generally score kind of on bigger plays and things like that. And as the game starts to become a grind, I think the Bengals can really soak up more first downs. And you look at them, they're more a team grinding out 10 to 15 yards at a time. So I see a nod here, Andre. The Bengals to have the most most first downs in the game is plus 135. What do you think of that?
That's one of the props that I'm going to be giving out tomorrow on ESPN 97.5 on the bench, actually, because exactly what you said. The Rams aren't a time possession team; they're a chunk play team. So they're lacking on a running game to be able to pretty much grind it out and use the clock like they've done in the past with other running backs. With Akers just coming back. And even though he's back, he's still a light guy. Their whole running backfield right now is a bunch of guys who are really light. So they can't run the ball and really lean on the run like they did in past years when they had the kid from Georgia. So, man, I really, really like the Bengals to slow down the game, as I said, to execute, to pretty much use the similar game plan that they used against the Steelers. I really believe that. And I think that they're going to do that by short passes, short, quick passes, and the running game and the screen game and a lot of misdirection in order to deal with the pass rush of the Rams. And also after they get that softened up, then, like I said, Darius Williams is going to get a couple pass interferences on T. Higgins. I guarantee you deep, because he's not going to be able to do anything with him at all. But, yeah, I definitely like them to get more first downs. It's just at the worst case, you're doing this off the knowledge that we all know that the Rams aren't a time possession team this year. They're a chunk play team. So, yeah, I definitely would like the Bengals to grind out and have more first downs by running the ball more.
Yeah, and again, a lot of what you kind of laid out, we're a very pro Bengals team here, it sounds like, based on what you guys talked about last week and just a little bit ago. Again, I think there's even a case where the Bengals lose this game and still have more first downs. What do you think of that prop spread? Again, the Rams minus 180 to have more first downs, the Bengals plus 135.
Yeah, I think that the thing that you mentioned at the end is very salient. I think this one's tough. I think the team that loses has a great chance of winning it there. I don't think it's necessarily correlated to victory, especially, if you're on the side of the Rams and you're laying it and you're laying alternate spreads, what's going to happen there at the end, right? Working against the prevent, you can get 5 or 6 gimme first downs there at the end. So I definitely agree with your point there. I actually think it's a tough one, though. Because, a little spoiler, my script's not going to go with the Rams blowout. So in that case, I can see it very well. And hey, if I can't decide, I'm always going to take the plus money, because if in my mind it's a coin flip, I'm getting plus 130.
Right.
Now, I like the way you set that up, Spread. A good unknowing segue there because for there to be a fourth down conversion of the game is minus 360. That means 75% of the time there has to be a fourth down conversion in this game. Yes, there's probably a fourth down conversion. We know these are really, really aggressive offenses. The no is plus 250. Now, Andre, maybe you like that price, maybe you don't, but can you make any case at all for what this game would look like without a fourth down conversion? I mean, is that in the realm of possibility?
With these two coaches, I doubt that because they're both offensive-minded coaches. So anytime that with the quarterbacks that they have and the offensive system that they want that they run, they trust the quarterbacks. Both have full trust in their QBs. So I definitely could see anything within maybe the 38 or so that you're going to go for it on fourth down right there. Like pretty much anything that's under 7 yards with the type of passing attack both teams are capable of as well. But we're also kicking in Los Angeles, which is going to have the ability to kick a lot of long field goals with these kickers. Both these guys can kick from distance. So that's an interesting stat, but I would definitely lean that there will be a fourth down conversion because we have two offensive-minded coaches and we have two quarterbacks that are outstanding and have full control of the offense.
Yeah, it's hard to think that, laying the juice could be value, but I'm almost kind of at that point, Spread. I mean, I know I made 75% sound like it's a lot, but shouldn't that be like minus 500? I mean, what do you think of that prop? Yes, there'll be a fourth down, Spread.
I think the way that you would kind of run into problems here on the yes is if some of these guys convert to what they've done their whole life, right? Nobody wants to make the mistake. Do they rein it in a little? Is it a low-scoring first half? Do they decide to play a little bit of field position and go away from what they've normally done all year? Or simply, I mean, the conversion has to happen. It doesn't mean that these guys can't go for it 3 or 4 times, right? Maybe the defenses are playing that well. At the end of the day, I think they've lined it pretty right. That sounds good to me. Obviously, I haven't run through numbers or anything to try and specifically find a statistical edge. But just when you bring it up right now on the show, kind of cold, and I'm thinking about it, I said, hey, I got to give the bookmakers credit. I think that's a pretty good line.
Now, this one is actually just minus 10 each way, a coin flip, if you will. Which team is going to call the first time out? Rams minus 120, Bengals minus 120. So
that's
we're juicing the heck out of this, but it's the Rams, right?
Rams all day. Everybody knows that.
Lock it in. That's 2 of us, Spread. Are you going in 3 for 3 on Rams?
Yeah. I'm with you there, right?
McVay will call a timeout the first quarter.
Yeah.
Love that. That's again, we don't get to bet on this stuff all the time. Now, one of the more interesting props, this is always one of my favorite for the Super Bowl, and it kind of goes back to the fourth down question. We have 2 really creative coaches here. Over 2.5 players will have a passing attempt, plus 115. So that means Burrow will throw a pass, Stafford will throw a pass, and anybody else. We know the Rams have a lot of gadget plays. Kupp has thrown passes. Odell Beckham Jr. has thrown passes everywhere he's been. I think he's already thrown one. I can't remember if that was regular season in the playoffs, but he's got one for the Rams already here. Spread, what do you think? Over 2.5 players to attempt to pass, plus 115.
Yeah, like I said, taking these cold, not actually looking it up. I remember the Rams doing it a lot, right? So in my head, they're definitely a possibility. Have the Bengals done it that often? I'm trying to think.
Chase played quarterback.
Okay.
Chase could do it. I don't know if he has.
Yeah, he played quarterback in high school. He plays from quarterback.
My original default on that is over. I mean, if not just because it's the more fun bet. Who wants to bet against a trick play? That doesn't sound like fun.
Yeah, because on this type of props, ladies and gentlemen, they got to anyway. The books are going to have a limit on these anyway because they know that they're so random. But don't back up the truck on these ones that we're just it's pretty much a coin toss. These are coin tosses. A lot of these now. Some of these are more, like how we saw it on the futures bet about as we talked about last week, Noops, about that the Bengals lead the league in first down runs and mixing, leads the league in first down carries. Those you can kind of because now you have a stat to back, the madness, so you can kind of make a more sharper bet, but. Man, when you're doing like these right here, we're speaking of these last few that we're speaking of when they're pretty much a coin flip. Do not back up the truck on these guys. Just, it's for fun. It's Spread to say it's some fun, something to enjoy during the game.
And speaking of fun, you can bet on a non-quarterback to throw a pass at plus 600. That is so that way you get it, even if it's not a backup quarterback.
So that's for either team?
Either team. Anybody that's not a quarterback to throw a pass, plus
Oh,
600.
that's much
600?
better. That's much better.
That's a great.
Man,
I like that.
Wait a second. I need a pen. I'm putting that. I'm taking that. Let me put this
Yeah.
in my phone.
Go ahead, grab it
It
now.
should be like
Again,
Is
if
that
a
on
quarterback
Boyd?
gets
Is that
hurt, you don't
Boyd?
cash. That's kind of the difference in
Is
price.
that on Boyd?
No, I'll try to help you find that. That's on offshores. We'll have to help you
Okay,
figure
let
that
me
out.
know. Send it to me. Text it to me, please. I want that.
Now, circling back to the timeout bet, team to make the first coach's challenge. Rams minus 120, Bengals minus 110. Are we just whacking the Rams here again? And we know that McVay, again, is kind of, flagrant with kind of what's going on. Is he going to be the
Very
one to challenge
emotional.
first?
He's more emotional than Zach Taylor. Did you know Zach Taylor's older than him?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, Zach Taylor's older than him. I didn't know that until recently. But Zach Taylor is more conservative with the way he approaches in the game. He's way more conservative. If McVay, if one of his players tell him, "Hey, I did this," and the team does a hurry up like Burrow's smart enough to do. If it's a in between call, they're going to rush to the line and get set up, even if they're not going to run a play, just in order to make you react. And I could definitely see him hurry up and throwing a red flag because that's how he coaches. He uses timeouts, bro, like they don't even matter. So, like week before last in the championship game, they didn't have any timeouts at the end of that game. That interception happens, it's a lot more pressure on them as they milked a lot more of that clock. But yeah, definitely McVay, man, just because it's aggressive coaching style.
What do you think, Spread? Do you agree with Andre there, or is there a chance? Zach Taylor throws the first challenge. I mean, obviously a lot is dependent on gameplay, but in general, you look at kind of the patterns. I think that's the way to go.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, of course, there's a chance, right? Because if there's something that's blatantly wrong, Zach Taylor is going to challenge it. When we say McVay's more likely, it's that he's more likely to do a fringe challenge, right? So let's say everything's being officiated well, and that's a tough assumption as well. But everything's being officiated well. McVay's more likely to push the boundary there, where I think Taylor is more likely to wait for just an egregious mistake.
Excellent. And then the last prop I had, just to circle back to one I promised I'd look at last week. No points in the first quarter. Neither team scores for the first 15 minutes of the game, plus 650. What do you think, Spread?
Yeah, I'm going to be on something correlated a little later, but I mentioned it early, right? There's a reason why when boxers practice, they have to keep their fundamentals, right? Even 30 minutes into the heavy bag, it's because when the going gets tough, right, and all the spotlight's on you and all the adrenaline's pumping, you're going to go back to what you know. So I know a lot of these guys, right? They're innovative, this and that, but even with these young kids, right? These schemes, they still like to run the ball. They just use motion a lot more, right? They just use different sets that they're running out of. They're just not lining up, a fullback and an I formation and a tight end on the right and two wide receivers, right? They're innovating, but they're still running the ball a heavy percentage. I think both teams are going to want it as much as, and I'm sure they're going to catch flack on Twitter. They're going to try and hashtag establish the run early. What that leads to. This clock keeps running, and nobody wants to make that first mistake. A lot of these players have talked about it. It doesn't feel like a real football game till about 1.5 or 2 series in, and then you calm down and you start playing. I think we see a lot of conservative play early. Obviously a big play can happen, but I almost feel like, you're being gifted, the first 3 or 4 minutes of play. I think it's going to be a while before the aggression starts. I really like that play.
What do you think, Andre?
Oh yeah,
I see
man.
you're texting people. You're trying to find that non-quarterback to throw a touchdown.
Right. No, I'm putting in the notes to remember. I'm adding that to my list. That definitely needs to go on there. But and also I was looking up a thing what I was telling you about it. I was trying to confirm what I was about to say about Zach Taylor. But anyway, yes, definitely would be one that the juice alone makes it worth the bet. The juice is worth the squeeze. You know what I'm saying? So when you're dealing with these prop bets, especially, it's like risk versus reward. If I can get back plus 600, yeah, I throw $50 at that. But the likelihood of it, I don't think is that high. I think we get at least 3 points or maybe even a touchdown in the first quarter, just simply because we have such offenses that move it, with such fluency and efficiency. So, and also another factor is, once again, we have an outstanding kicker with the Bengals, and we have a kicker that's decent with the Rams, and he's pretty good from distance. So, if they cross midfield, hey, 1 first down and you're in McPherson range for sure in LA, because he could make them from 58. So
Noops,
yeah. I think that's why the odds are so good. Usually it's closer to 4-1. Sorry, guys.
What does plus 600 equal out to, right? How many times?
We needed to win 14% of the time.
Yeah, so 14%, right? I mean,
Right.
that's where it's tough to see it, right? Because now I'm imagining the game and 5 stars, right? Hey, these guys get past the field. These kickers probably aren't going to miss.
Yeah.
But hey, only 14% of the time, and I know it's tough, right? Because there's going to have to be a lot of Super Bowls for that to even out. But that's how we think about these things. And when you see the 14%, I think it's a little easier to get behind that wager.
Yes, no doubt.
All right, gentlemen, that's all the props I had on my list. Any questions on me? Questions for me before I wrap?
Right. Who you got for the Super Bowl, Noops?
Give me the Bengals. I'm taking the Bengals. I'm not going to bet Matt Stafford to win a big game. All we've done is see him throw turnovers. And again, the only thing that beats Joe Burrow is his physical health. Now, Aaron Donald might actually just, destroy him in little
Right.
bits and pieces like in the first play of the game. But heck, you know what? Give me the dog.
Yeah, if he survives the entire game, give me Joey B.
That's right. Always got to do. If he's upright in the fourth quarter, give me my guy.
All right, good to know, man. You're on the right side. Hey, Noops, as always, you're part of the show. We're transitioning next week to the daily show. We're going to look forward to talking to you daily now.
Ooh.
Later, y'all catch my boy on Brown Bag Bets every day. All right, guys, it's time to get to what everybody came for. Time for Ball and Parlay, the Super Bowl edition. We're not going to play around. We're not going to skip around. We're going to get straight to it. We're going to talk about the Super Bowl, man. I'll go first. You guys know I've been riding with the Bengals all year. I see no reason why I would change now. The thing about the Super Bowl is, man, you can't bet it like you bet a regular season game. And that's the mistake that most casual bettors make. Square bettors, they bet games based on familiarity, common knowledge. So most casuals that will bet the Bengals, they're going to fall in the category of an actual Cincinnati fan or just a Joe Burrow believer. The squares that take LA will bet because they recognize the Rams brand. They're more successful. They're not a traditional loser like the Bengals are. Also, average fans, they're going to be more familiar with the big names on the LA roster: Matt Stafford, OBJ, Cooper Kupp, Donald, Ramsey, Von Miller. The bookmakers examine all these factors, guys, when they're setting these lines. They over-examine it for the big game, though. Their worst fear, guys, is to give out a bad number and get the heaviest bet game on the planet on one side, where they can take a huge L. I mean, a bankruptcy type L. So the Super Bowl line is always precise. When you're sharp like me and Spread, when you see the line, the first thing we question is like, what is the book attempting to accomplish? Why is this line out? The line initiated at Rams -3.5, and it was quickly bet up to -4. So my immediate thoughts on seeing the short number was the books want money on the Rams. Anytime a team with an offensive personality like they have, that's publicly regarded as explosive, and they're laying less than 6 points, that's always an indicator to me. The public perception also, guys, is that the Rams are supposed to be here, and they're playing at home. They're a public team. They got the offensive stars, the defensive stars, and this almost seems to be like a Stan Kroenke coronation, right, Spread? for bringing football back to LA. That's what it's all set up to look like and be, right? And what's the Bengals' public perception? They're the underdogs.
They're lucky to be there.
Yeah, they're still the Bengals, though, at the end of the day. Joe Burrow's unbelievable, but come on, man. Look at this horrible offensive line. These are all the mainstream and popular narratives, but the book only set the line at -3.5. Makes sense, right? No, it doesn't. And it's because numbers are framed, man, to make the public better see something that appears as an easy win. When the public doesn't factor in what we do as sharps, they immediately just go for the shiny objects. Okay, the Rams and Bengals are both division-winning 4th seed playoff teams that each won the 2 most competitive divisions in the NFL, the NFC West and the AFC North, respectively. Those are the 2 best divisions in the NFL, and they both won the division, but they were 4th seeded because of the tough games that they play in that division, which ended up having both of them battle ready and battle tested for the playoffs. They mirror each other in both offenses or pass first, dangerous mismatches outside. Both teams struggle against the pass on defense. Both defenses are top 10 against the run. That's right, the Bengals are top 10 against the run. DJ Reid can play. The Rams do have a better pass rush. They rank third. And Joe Burrow was indeed sacked the most times in the NFL, guys. So he's used to pressure. This has been happening all year. This isn't the first game he's been facing a team, and he knowing he's going to go on the ground. But also, Cincinnati played the team with the most sacks in the NFL twice this season in their division. The Steelers led the league with 55 sacks. In the Bengals' two matchups with the league leaders in sacks, Cincinnati only allowed 2 sacks, and they scored a combined 65 points spread. The Bengals line, they'll be missing Riley Reef, but I believe Zach Taylor's sharp enough to design a protection scheme that doesn't allow Aaron Donald to just dominate and go crazy in this game. And the best way, as we all know, to beat a pass rusher, guys, is to run straight at them. And that's exactly what Coach Taylor did in the prior matchups with the Steelers pass rushers. Joe Mixon ran for 255 yards on 46 carries and had 2 TDs in the 2 matchups against Pittsburgh's bunted pass rush. Joe Burrow only attempted 18 passes, completing 14 in the first matchup, and he only threw 24 times in the second matchup, and he completed 20 of those. So how efficient is that? Zach Taylor framed that game knowing that the Steelers were going to beat his offensive line and that their thing was to get the sacks, but he tailored his game plan, no pun intended, to make it where Joe Burrow was not having to sit back and get murdered all day. He fed Mixon. Joe Mixon is my MVP prop bet. He's the forgotten man in this game. Clearly, he's the best running back in this game on both sides. He's hard to tackle. He's tough as hell. He's elusive. He can catch the ball, and he has breakaway speed. And then he has his backup is another Oklahoma product, Perrine, who's also a bruiser with speed. The Bengals are going to run the ball to set up the pass, and they're going to keep the pass rushers at bay by being physical and running at them all day spread. It's been pretty much established that both teams' advantages are at the wide receivers against the other team's defensive back. So basically, which defensive backfield will be more effective will likely win this game. I trust Cincinnati's corp every day of the week over the Rams. After you get past Jalen Ramsey, it's 5'9" Darius Williams, 5'11" Nick Scott, old and slow Eric Weddle, who was just signed last month. He was retired during the whole season. It'll be big if they get back Taylor Rapp. He's a solid free safety, but he missed all 3 playoff games, concussion protocol. So we'll see how sharp he is and how much in condition he is. Regardless, they'll be limited going against the most deadly wide receiver core in the league right now. Whether people realize it or not, you're dealing with 3 number ones, man. Jamar Chase has been the number 1 all season for Cincinnati. T. Higgins was the number 1 last year. And the year prior to that, for multiple years, Tyler Boyd was the number 1 over there at Cincinnati. So all these guys are strong, they're physical, they're game changers, man. And I expect T. Higgins to have an enormous day on Darius Williams. If the Rams make the mistake and have to start doubling him, and then they decide to leave what Jalen Ramsey is saying now that he wants to be one-on-one with Jamar Chase might break the Super Bowl record for receiving yards. Ramsey is more named than game at this point, man. I watched his tape spread. He's much like Richard Sherman. He's a zone corner. Whether he recognizes it or not, he's always peeking at the quarterback instead of his man. And lapses like that against Chase is 6. The Rams probably have the NFL's best wide receiver in the game, though. Cooper Kupp, amazing, man. He's going to be a handful. He's going to get his regardless. OBJ has found his game again, and Van Jefferson is always a deep threat. I know they're a handful full, man, but I really like the Bengals defensive backs led by Jesse Bates. He's the quarterback of that backfield along with veteran Von Bell, who's been in so many playoff games with the Saints, always makes big plays, is always in the right position. This is one of the strongest safety combinations in the league. And like I know, Spread, that if you're strong at safety, that's the main place you need to be strong at against a quarterback like Matt Stafford, who has these overthrows, these tip balls, lapses in judgment where he gets pressure and makes a bad pass, because you can't miss those interception opportunities as we saw with San Francisco and Tart dropping that. Von Bell, and Jesse Bates won't drop those interceptions. The Bengals are versatile at cornerback. Chidobe Awuzie, who was with the Cowboys last year, he's probably the best cornerback in the league that nobody knows. And it's just because Cincinnati doesn't get a lot of coverage. They're going to start getting more now because of Joe Burrow and because of this winter season. But as you know it, I mean, a lot of people didn't even know, couldn't name a player for the Bengals defense going into the playoffs. Now, that nickelback, Mike Hilton, they got him. They did a great job in free agency on defense, especially in the defensive backfield. All of the defensive backs they picked up in free agency except for Bates. Mike Hilton, he's their slot specialist. He's versatile. He's been playing big all season. Had a great playoff run, and I'm sure he'll be matched up on Cooper Kupp. And they have Trey Flowers. He's long, and they use him on to cover the hybrids and the tight ends. He'll probably be on Tyler Higbee. And then they have Eli Apple, man. He's considered the weak link by perception. But as you brought up last week, you saw the great play that he made to pretty much get the momentum going the Bengals' way, man. And whether you like him or not, Eli Apple has been playing ball this year, man, especially in the playoff. And obviously his defensive coordinator, Lou Anarumo, thinks highly of him. He followed him from the Giants there. A lot of people don't know that was his defensive back with the Giants. That's why he came to Cincinnati. And their defensive coordinator, his specialty is defensive back play, man. And the improvement of the Bengals backside proves this. The best defensive minds, as you and I know, in the game, their specialty is defensive backs. And that's Belichick, McDermott, Saban. That skill is intricate in today's pass-first NFL. And Anarumu's play calling has been on point all playoffs. He's the one coach to slow down Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs this season. The Bengals are also underrated up front on the D-line. As many Texans fans know, DJ Reid is the real deal. He's one of the best interior linemen in the league. But the key to the Bengals being effective in stopping the Rams, I believe, is Trey Hendrickson with the rush from the outside. He had 14 sacks in the regular season. If they can get him one-on-one with agent Andrew Whitworth, he'll be able to force Matt Stafford into some bad decisions. I watched a little bit of the coverage, man, and honestly, Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey stuck out to me. They sounded overconfident, in my opinion. I truly believe after being in the league as stars so long, both of them think the Bengals as the old Bengals, as the Bungles. They remember for most of their career dominating them. Donald and Ramsey both seemed assured that the Rams would beat the lowly Bengals. Ramsey is saying he wants Chase one-on-one. Really, he doesn't. And Donald said he pretty much feels with their roster against their roster, his team should win. After arrogance comes to fall, man. If Mattress Max $4 million wasn't involved, I'd say Bengals money line. But since he's put the public spotlight on that wager, the safer and sharper bet for me and for our show is going to be the Bengals plus 4.5. The 4.5 is a great line for Bengals backers like us. The last 6 Super Bowl teams favored between minus 3.5 and minus 4.5 have all not only not covered, but all teams lost straight up. The Chiefs lost to the Bucks. The Patriots lost to the Eagles. The Panthers lost to the Broncos. The Niners lost to the Ravens. The Patriots lost to the Giants. And my favorite, the Colts lost to the Saints. All of those teams were all favored between opening line to the closing line from minus 3.5 to minus 4.5. And this is also essentially a road game for the Bengals. Bengals have been the best road team in the NFL this season. Their last real road loss was at Chicago in week 2 when Joe Burrow was still shaky after his knee surgery. They lost at Cleveland 21-15 in the last week of the regular season. But as you and I know, Spread, that wasn't a real game. Joe Burrow didn't play. Joe Mixon didn't play. All the starters set out, but they still covered. At full strength, the Bengals are essentially 7-0 on the road this season, Spread, and they're 8-1 against the spread overall if you count the Bears game, what seems a million years ago. I want all the viewers to say this with me, man. The Bengals are legit. The best road team in the NFL. This game being in LA, will actually help forge the Bengals team as it seems to be like they're on the road, man. It's a road game pretty much. And the Bengals are 7-0 against the spread in their last 7 games. Good teams win, but great teams cover, man. Rookie kickers Shooter McPherson and Burrow had the most important intangibles in this game, and that's the clutch gene, The Bengals cover, and don't be surprised if they shock the world in what's sure to be a great game that comes down to the fourth quarter spread. I'm all on the Bengals, man, plus 4.5. I've seen Joe Burrow go to work in important games before. In him and Jamar Chase's mind and T. Higgins' mind, this is no different than the national championship. And they feel like, hey, we did our thing there. We're going to do the same thing in the Super Bowl. So we rolling with the Bengals, the best road team in the NFL this season.
I mean, I want to go back to something that you said earlier because it really felt like the crux of my handicap here. And you said you can't handicap this game like you do the regular season. During the regular season, we're doing more than 10 games per week. We don't have time to get in deep every single game. What do we like to do? We like to look at the lines. Who's got the better offensive line, right? I'm not worried about what, obviously quarterback matters. Obviously coach matters, right? I'm not worried about on a second string running back, second string cornerback. I'm worried about how healthy is each line, how well do they perform. That would lead you to take the Rams, right? I don't think that you can make an argument on both sides of the ball. They're ranked higher by Pro Football Focus, and if you're watching a lot, you have to be more impressed with the tape that each unit has put forward, right? So, okay, you go to put the Rams in there, right? And you got it queued up, right? And you're ready to hit submit. And 5-star, I'll tell you, sometimes you just get a feeling, right?
Right.
You're hanging out with the wrong group of guys, right? This is going to end up in trouble, right? This is not how I want my end tonight. You do some business with the guy, right? I don't have any proof, right? But it doesn't just feel like what he's giving me is what's really going to happen, right? And you go with your feeling and you get out of those situations. That's how I felt going ahead to queue up that Rams bet. And it's because of Joe Burrow. He just has that intangible that you just can't throw in there. And let's go one other thing that these Bengals do that makes me want to back them, right? And you mentioned the defensive coordinator's name, but I'm going to call him Inigo Montoya because what has he done the last two games, right? He comes in and he plays the first half. I think he's planning these adjustments. I don't think he's making up these adjustments at halftime. They're planned.
Don't be surprised at the Rams thing.
At halftime, he comes out and he says, I have something to tell you, my friend. I'm not left-handed. And switches the hand and runs the defense that he wants to run. And we saw Patrick Mahomes get shut down in the second half, right? I mean, I just really trust this Bengals coaching staff. And what's one thing that McVay's weak at? It's been the halftime adjustments. A lot of times when they cover, these are huge first halves, and they come down to nail biters. You end up catching the bet, right? So you move on today, you don't think about it. But, hey, those are in my subconscious. I remember how many times it looked like the Rams were going to win easy, and they don't do it at the end. What were they ahead against San Francisco? Final game of the year?
Right.
17-0. San Francisco wins that game. Right. I trust the Bengals more in the second half. I'm getting the better quarterback. You mentioned I got 3 number 1 wide receivers for this guy to throw to, too. Right? He's not Tom Brady having to make do, right? With a bunch of misfits and casts off the bad news bear receiver room, right? He's got 3 stud number 1s. He's got the better running back. And all I need to do is Zach Taylor to get these big boys to move forward. Everyone's going to tell you how bad these guys are. They're not that bad. Right. You're acting like this is a Division II community college team, right? No. He's going to be able to get stuff done. These big boys are going to start moving forward. I'm with you. I like the Bengals. I'm splitting my bet. I'm taking the 4.5 to be safe, but I really have to have a piece of this money line because I would not be surprised if on Sunday night, just like this guy, Joe Burrow, made Ed Ogeron a national champion, he's going to do it again for Zach Taylor. I expect Joe Burrow to be lifting the trophy. I'm with you on the Cincinnati Bengals.
I'm a lifer at LSU. I've never seen anything like what Joe Burrow did 2 seasons ago in Baton Rouge. Anyone to tell you he already is monument worthy. We've never had a quarterback at LSU ever. We had some guys who people thought were quarterbacks.
Right.
Jamarcus Russell.
Don't bring back that memory.
But the rest of the time, we had guys like Matt Mock. They were able to survive in the league because they're good old guys, But we've had Joe Burrow special, man. But the most important thing, he's been blessed enough to line up with exactly what he needed. And that's the coach and the kicker. He has the exact thing that Brady had that started his run. He got the kicker and the coach. If you got those 2 things, you're going to win a lot of playoff games, man. You're going to win a lot of regular season games. People are not putting enough stock into the division that Cincinnati dominated this year. They're not putting enough stock into it. They're battle tested and they're ready. The Rams, every game that I can remember that they played this year, especially recently, besides the Arizona game, have been all where you were like, what the heck are they doing? You know, they're very, most teams are um, a microcosm of their coach. And like their coach, they have high highs and low lows. Uh, you never know what we're going to get from the Rams, man. But they'll always allow teams back in the game. You're never out of the game with the Rams. That's the thing. And the reason why is because they can't really establish the run. If you can lock in on Cooper Kupp, I think that's the key. And I really think the Bengals coaching staff has the ability to, you're not going to take away Cooper Kupp. He's too good, but you can slow him down. You can't frustrate him. You can't make Stafford get off of him. If you make Stafford get off him, we know Stafford loves to lock in on receivers. Unless McVay calls a play where it's a natural, the play's already using uh, Kupp as a decoy and they're going to OBJ or Van Jefferson, he's straight on Kupp locked in. You know, and I know that. That's why he holds the ball longer than a lot of quarterbacks looking for that big play. And I just trust the coaching staff for the Bengals more than I trust the Rams. The Rams, I'm not going to say they got here on a fluke. They had to still win the game against the Niners, but you and I both know with a quarterback, the type of quarterback that they were dealing with Jimmy G, they were supposed to dominate that game more than that. They shouldn't have went into the fourth quarter down 17-7. And if Tar catches that interception with no timeouts because of mismanagement by McVay, terrible challenge that he did earlier in that second half that costed him a timeout, and then he wasted a couple more on different stuff because plays didn't get in correctly or something. The Niners would have been able to milk that clock, and we would have never even had a Rams Bengals Super Bowl. But it went their way, so I can commend them on that. But they did everything in their ability to lose that game against a lesser quarterback, and with a staff that's very much similar to the Bengals staff. Zach Taylor was the wide receiver coach for this very Rams team. He's worked under Sean McVay. So if anyone knows Cooper Kupp and what he likes to do with Cooper Kupp, it'll be Zach Taylor, since he's one of the coaches that helped develop him. It's a lot of intricate things in this game that people are missing. The most I want you guys to remember is this numbers and lines that the books put out. This is a standalone game, the biggest pick game in the world. They're never going to make it easy for you. So we're going to take the points with the Bengals and ride the trend of hopefully being now the seventh straight time that a underdog of +3.5 to +4.5 has not only covered but won the game outright. So for the Ball and Parlay, we'll be loading up on +4.5, and we'll be putting a smaller amount on the Bengals money line. Also, if you guys have access on your sports book that you use to end games, I really suggest you stay locked in. I would not be surprised. As we said, the Bengals defensive coordinator, he loves to convince you that you're going to see one thing and then put in his real defense the second half because they're smart enough to understand it's a 4-quarter game. And it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. So don't be surprised at all if the Rams get up early, if they go ahead first, if they score the first touchdown. And if they do, that's your opportunity to get in and catch the Bengals at an even better number. I'll be searching for a 10.5 or so, and that's when I'm really going to back up the Brinks truck because I truly believe that the Bengals would at least be able to backdoor cover any number over 3. So this is the final episode for this fall for the football season. College football and NFL season has came to an end. We really enjoyed this year. We look forward to talking to you guys daily now. Starting next Friday, we're going to start with our first episode. It'll be a lot shorter. It's going to be a daily episode where we just strictly give you guys the Ball and Parlay segment, give you quick winners from both sides, from both me and Spread. You can bet them straight and parlay them, and then we'll see you the next day and do the same thing. And we're going to ride that out throughout March Madness and through the NBA playoffs. And then after the NBA playoffs, we'll take a short break and restart everything for the fall with a preseason show and back to our normal hour format of the Wagering World on Schoon TV. We've really enjoyed you guys this year. We're so happy that we've been able to win 5 straight weeks on the Ball and Parlay. We're so happy that you guys have been able to really grow your bankroll with us. And we hope that this Bengals game is the last of the journey, and we finish off with a strong season by wrapping it up with a Super Bowl winner. Any words for the people, Spread, before we get out of here?
I mean, it's, you know, this was a tough one to land on, but after I've made my decision and it's in, you know what, I'm feeling pretty good to be on the side of Joey B. Right? I don't think I will be pretty happy about having all that money and having Joey B go against it. So, you know, I'm Team Burrow this week, and hopefully he gets it done and establishes a new legacy in the NFL. Right? And wouldn't that be fitting?
Right.
The year that Tom Brady leaves, it seems like we have, you know, I know we love Mahomes, right? But Burrow, he just seems like he's got those same intangibles.
Mahomes is his own guy.
Yeah,
you know, we don't know what his career is going to fold out to be or how he evolves. He's his own guy. He's deserved that right. But you definitely can see Joe Burrow walking in the footsteps of Brady. He has a very similar game, very similar swag, a little bit more athletic, but definitely the confidence that brings the best out of his teammates. As you see, Gronk's already trying to get over there. Gronk's ready to go.
Hey, he knows a winner when he sees one, right?
He sees the future. Gronk's like, I'll give me one more with this kid. So he even wants it. I meant to tell Noops, man. I know he might be in the back still. Noops, man. My guy Noops gave me this book that you guys see behind me, The Logic of Sports Betting, man. And I really appreciate it, man. It's one of the first items that really got me into reading in depth about different strategies for betting sports, man. And I really thank Noops for giving me that book. He was reading it on the plane and gave it right to me. I said, man, I really like that book. He just said, here, man, you can have it, because he's that type of guy, man. He'll take his shirt off his back, and that's why we love Noops, man. Like I said, we'll see you guys next Friday, but we'll start our new format. It'll only be 15 minutes. You can catch me on a Thursday, 9:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, 7:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on 97.5, 92.5 ESPN in Houston. You can pull up the podcast online. It's also available on Tidal. I'll be on there with my breakdown. It'll be very similar to the one I just gave you guys, but it'll be a couple more props that I'll be giving out. And you can always catch me and Spread on Twitter. I'm at 5-Star in Vegas, spell out the 5. He's at Spread Astaire. And please go to the YouTube channel. We both have YouTube channels. Please subscribe. Mine is 5-Star in Vegas Sports Investments. Here's a Spread Astaire. So, hey, we look forward to seeing you guys, man, soon. And we thank you for the season we've had on the Wagering World. The best of luck to you all for the Super Bowl.